Oh, wait, we're live. Uh, Namaste and hello from the Indian time zone to everybody. Uh, Welcome to the ninth Flutter Meetup and the second Flutter Remote Meetup uh, on behalf of Flutter Bangalore Meetup Group and GeekyAnts. My name is Vanchu and I am going to be your host for this event. First and foremost, of course, since we all know the kind of times we are living in, I hope that all of you are doing safe and keeping well. To all the viewers on YouTube at the moment, welcome. And we are expecting to have some more. Uh, well, I think it's really important to keep safe and take all the precautionary measures if we have any hope, we are to have any hope to get back to our normal lives. Other than that, again, I would like to welcome you all and extend a very, very warm, heartwarming welcome to all the speakers today as well. Uh, as promised and as we always deliver, today is lined up with an extravaganza of information and knowledge, perhaps some of the things that you haven't even heard of before. So if you want to spark your curiosity and do want to get started with Flutter or are an intermediate level and want to know more about what this technology can do, I assure you, you are at the right place. So I think it's time to kick off this event. But before that, I'd like to introduce Pushkar Kumar, who is going to be delivering the keynote. Can we have Pushkar on this?
Yeah. Thank you, Digvijay.
Yeah, hi, Pushkar. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I hope you're keeping safe and well.
Yes, definitely.
Wonderful. So, as a quick introduction, Pushkar is our resident associate EM at GeekyAnts, and he is one of our in-house experts in Flutter. And he has done intensive amount of work with a lot of different things in Flutter. So I think it's safe to say that he is one of the more learned ones in the company when it comes to Flutter. So I guess I will give the stage up to you now, Pushkar, and take it away. All the best.
Yeah, thank you, Digvijay. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, welcome everyone. I am Pushkar Kumar. I am Associate Engineering Manager at GeekyAnts. As Digvijay mentioned, that this is the 9th edition of our Flutter Meetup, and around 2 years back, we had our first Flutter Meetup at our GeekyAnts office. And at that time, mostly the discussion would revolve around what Flutter is, how cool Flutter is, the hot reload, the hot restart, and how does the container works. And since then, we have come a really long way. So about us at GeekyAnts, we are a product studio that transforms ideas into reality. We are around 200 geeks strong. We have several of our own in-house product, as well as we make products for our clients all across the globe in sectors such as fintech, e-commerce, social platforms, and many more. One of our product is BuilderX, which is a design tool that writes React and React Native code for you. And hopefully we have Flutter coming in soon, so do try that out. We at GeekyAnts love the dev community, especially the dev community of React, React Native, Flutter, Svelte. And we have several open source contribution around these technologies. One of is the native base, which is a UI library for React Native, has around 14,000 GitHub stars. And another one is Vue Native, which is a cross-platform technology for making hybrid applications in Vue. Now, this is really an exciting time for Flutter. We just had this week Flutter 1.20 release, and the growth of Flutter is really tremendous. So, as per the Flutter team, they are seeing tremendous growth, especially in India, which is now the #1 reason for Flutter developers. And most importantly, like Flutter isn't Flutter without Dart. So there we have tremendous growth as well. The IEEE has reported that Dart has moved up 4 slots since last year to become number 12 in the top 50 languages that they track. Several new enhancement in Flutter 1.20 are like performance improvement for Flutter and Dart. A new widget for common patterns of interaction known as interaction viewer. There are now several updated material components, as well as several embedded dev tools in the Visual Studio Code. So it's really an exciting time for Flutter. And today, the sort of discussion and the topics that we have is really exciting. So I'm really looking forward for it. Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Uh, I should say, Pushkar, I could not have given a better introduction to our company than you have just now. So, guys, that's what GeekyAnts is all about, and that is what we are doing here today. So, I think it's time to bring on the first speaker today. Thank you very much, Pushkar. Thank you for all
Thank
the
you.
information, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time to call upon our very first speaker of the day, who is Rishit Dagli. Um, he has achieved so much that I had to write it all down. Well, for starters, Rishit is a 10th grade student. I think it's better if we have him on stream right now. Rishit. Oh, I think he's. Rishit, can you hear me? Yep, there he is.
Okay,
Hey, very good afternoon, Rishit. Welcome.
thank you.
How are you doing
Welcome.
today?
I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, as a short introduction, Rishit is a 10th grade student and he is a TEDx speaker, has been a past TED speaker as well. He likes to call himself an AI and cloud enthusiast and is also a Google certified mobile site developer. What's most interesting about Rishit is that he is in 10th grade and he has already written 7 research papers in the field of AI and robotics and mathematics as well. And he has won tons of awards. I mean, I think more than I have in my lifetime till now. Uh, he also manages some meetup communities in Bombay, like Kotlin and Mozilla, I believe. So, Rishit, I think, yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Rishit, I hope everything is all set and
Yeah.
you're good to go.
Thanks for the introduction. Um, I'll get started.
Wonderful, wonderful. All the best, Rishit. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Could you bring up my slides? Great. Um, okay. Hi everyone. Hi again. You already know about me, and today we'll be talking about AI with Flutter, how you can implement AI machine learning in your Flutter apps, and superpower your apps. So a bit about me. Thanks to the host for the beautiful introduction. Um, Here's a bit about me, and you can view more about me on my website listed down over here. So first off, why care about ML in Android? So I'll not speak much about this, uh, but we all know that the number of Android devices or the number of mobile devices has increased drastically, exponentially increased. And machine learning is empowering every field. It's transforming every field. So it makes sense to harness the power of machine learning in your Android apps. And you also use apps on day-to-day basis like keyboard or photos, and all of these heavily rely on ML and ML algorithms. So yeah, it may so that serves the purpose of why you should care about ML in Android. So what I also want to talk about today is why you should care about on-device ML in Android. So what on-device ML is all about is, um, instead of sending all my data to some kind of cloud-hosted server, so in on-device ML, what do I do is I no longer send my data to a cloud-hosted server or some other server. Instead, I do all of my I run my ML algorithms right on my mobile. So I no longer have to send all of my data to a cloud hosted server. I run it right on my mobile. So why is this? Why you should care about this, and why is this beneficial? Why are we talking about it today? So first off, power consumption. Uh, while sending it to the cloud or a server, you need to have network, and which could often take up a lot of power. In some cases, it could though happen that on-device ML might consume a lot of power in case of complex transformations, but usually it takes a lot more power to use the network and send your data to a cloud-hosted server and then receive it back. Inference time or latency is also another deciding factor. So um, the inference time on a particular data point or running some kind of ML algorithm on device would give you faster performance. And instead of because you do all the computation on your device itself, so it usually reduces latency too. I already talked a bit about this network availability, and it really is a deciding factor in applications where you don't have network availability or you just don't have the network bandwidth to send over data and receive it back. And finally, another one of the most important things about on-device ML and advantages is security. So you might have already guessed about this. As I already said, I no longer have to send data out of the device, which means I would potentially have a better. I would potentially enforce security in my app, and um, since I no longer have to send data to a cloud-hosted server, I I do all of my computation and run my ML algorithms on the device itself. So let's see how this all works, and we'll see a bit of ML algorithms and how you can customize them using MLKit. So I don't assume any prior knowledge of ML. If you don't know about ML, that's completely fine. It's super easy to use, super easy to implement, and we'll go through it. So MLKit is what we'll be exploring today. It has a wide range of pre-trained models with little customization, which are super easy to use. And it also has some pre-trained models on which you can run your custom model. So maybe you have a TF Lite model and you have an object detection model. So with you can kind of use your TF Lite model with the object detection model, which is provided with MLKit, and and ensure a larger customization and a better performance too. And finally, if none of these work for you, you can also use your own TensorFlow Lite model hosted with Firebase ML Kit, and use completely your own TensorFlow Lite model. So let's see this with an example. So we'll be building an application together, and what we'll also see in the process of doing so is how you can build your own applications with this. So let's see an example. Let's go through the complete process of how this works. So what we'll do is we'll build a face recognizer on Edge, and we'll do this in the next 15 minutes. So it's super easy to use. So let's get started. Very simple, nothing new over here, just some dependencies. So what I want to do over here is build an application which can recognize faces from an image. So I of course have the Firebase ML Vision, which allows me to harness the power of MLKit, and I also have Image Picker, which will possibly make my tasks about getting the image from user a lot more easier. So I guess you all might have worked with Image Picker a bit. It's pretty famous, highly used. If not, nothing to worry. We'll be seeing that too. So again, the simple stuff. Make a simple scaffold. Nothing new over here. But what I do want you to see over here is I have um, I I have a stateful widget over here. So why do I have a stateful widget over here? So because I want to track my selected faces or selected faces in the images. So what I should use is a stateful widget over here. So just making a scaffold with a stateful widget. So let's discuss what we want to do, high level overview of this. So first off, I want to select an image. The image would be provided by the user. Then I load my image for processing because the user would most probably give me the image in a JPEG or PNG or some other format. I want to convert it into a format that I can easily use. And then finally, we want to perform inference or perform face detection on the image. So selecting an image, pretty easy with image picker. I'll just specify an image file and use the image picker to do this. Uh, so here you can see there's something on the slides called gallery. So that's me telling the user I want you to choose an image from the gallery. If I want the user to click an image right over there, I can specify that too just by changing it to camera. What I do want you to see over here is I have the await keyword over here. So I'll run this task asynchronously. Why am I doing so? So it does not block the other thread while the user is while the image is being loaded. So notice that I'm doing this task asynchronously. So what next? Now, since I've already got the image, what I want to do next is convert it into so I want to convert it into a format which I can use in which I can use for face detection or other kind of feature recognition. So Firebase Vision provides you an easy way to do this, where I can just say Firebase Vision image dot from file, and image picker already loaded the file for me in image file, which you can see over here. So just pass it into Firebase Vision image. So let's get to the cool part now, which is performing inferences. So Firebase Vision allows you to work with, as I said, a wide range of pre-trained models, which you can very easily customize, and you can also use your own TF-Lite model file. So what I'll do over here is I'll create a pre-trained model object and initialize it with face detector, which is again a pre-trained model from MLKit. So another thing to note over here is, as of Android 11, you don't need to specifically use Firebase to use MLKit. We'll not talk about this a lot over here, but it's good to know that as of Android 11, you no longer need a Firebase project to use MLKit. So here are a few more pre-trained models which are super easy to work with MLKit, and you can essentially use any of these. And I'll also be telling you how you can use a custom TF-Lite model. So remember me telling you that you can make a few customizations to the model, make it run as you want. So here's how you can do that. You can just specify it a few options. So here's me telling it I want my face detector model to run fast, and I want to enable landmarks. So landmarks will do something like also detect important landmarks like ears or eyes or nose and stuff like that. So you can also specify that, make a few customizations. So now I also, okay, let me go to the previous slide. Uh, you can see I have okay, okay, just forget about this. Sorry. You can see that I have two awaits. One of the await is getting an image from the user. I'm doing this one task asynchronously, and the another await is getting my inference. So when I'll be doing inference, I'll also be telling it to do it asynchronously since I don't want to block my UI. So if I have two asynchronously running tasks, should I face a problem? Should I face any problem? I'll give you a moment to think this through. And if you think I should face a problem, put it in the comments. I'll be happy to read them. Let's wait for a moment. There's usually a delay in YouTube, a 10-second delay. Okay, so let's move forward. No answers have come as of now, but so when I have two asynchronous tasks, so what might happen is the face page widget or the widget in which I'll be doing all of this might not be active or mounted. So it is very much possible that the user could have closed my app, or maybe instead of waiting on the page on which inference should be visible to him, he might have navigated away from the page. So in that case, I'm still running my operations. So that's a very bad app design, as I'm wasting my processing power and battery, as the user could have already closed the app. So how do I solve this problem? Any guesses? If you said just use a mounted, that's correct. What I can just do is I call set state if my widget is mounted. So anytime I want to make a change to the state, I'll see if my widget is mounted, and then make a change to the state. Now this would solve the problem that the user has maybe navigated away from the page or closed the app altogether. So what did we do now? I had an image which I loaded from the user. I have a faces list with all the coordinates which I got from the model. My faces are detected properly. So what's left now? I still need to modify the image itself to show a bounding box over the face. So I want to essentially draw something on the image. So what could I use in this case? I'll use custom painter. So let's get to the custom painter part. We'll get to the custom painter part first. Let's see how we would process the image in a format that canvas can understand. So the custom painter canvas can understand. So I'm loading my image, and I'm loading it as an array of raw bytes. What oh, sorry what I can do then is decode my image from this array of raw bytes so that my custom painter canvas can easily use this image. So this is again something very simple, a simple custom painter code which can draw over my images. So first off, I'm drawing my original image. So I need to draw the bounding boxes on top of my original image. So my first step would be, of course, to draw the original image. So I drew the original image, just doing a canvas.draw image. What I do want to do next is, oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, this is the right one. I skipped a few slides, sorry. What I do want to do next is, if you see, this is really something very simple, a for loop, and all the number of faces I have, I'm drawing an unfilled rectangle on the face. So that's exactly what I wanted. Draw a bounding box over the face. So that's what I'm doing right over here, drawing an unfilled rectangle over the faces. So we kind of did it. we made a bounding box on the face, detected the face itself, and finally drew the faces. So so what I still have another problem to tackle, which is what happens if my user uploads a new image, or what happens if the faces list changes. Let's say the Firebase the ML model sends me a new list of faces. What would happen then? So what I'm just specifying over here is a should repaint. So I'm telling it that if the image provided by the user changes, or the faces in the image changes, you should repaint all of this. So you should go back to the images list, the face coordinates list, run the for loop again, and draw an unfilled rectangle on top of each of them. So that was about it. It's almost 20 minutes, and we made an app, a face recognition app with MLKit. And it's very easy to now use all of these concepts with a custom TensorFlow Lite model. So with a custom TensorFlow Lite model, you'd host it somewhere in the cloud, or in with MLKit, and then uh, just just use just use a similar strategy to work with a custom TensorFlow Lite model. So let's get to the demo straight away, as I'm already running out of time. So let's get to the demo straight away. So here's the GitHub repository for this talk, and I have the demos over here. I'll be showing them in a second. What I'll do is I'll give you a moment to note this URL, or you can also and this URL will also be posted in the comment section. Yeah. So yeah, thanks Flutter Bangalore for posting this link in the comment section. You can go to this GitHub repository, which has all what we talked about today. Great, then let's switch to live demos. I'll quickly switch my screen. Let's do that. Okay, here I am in Android Studio. I hope you can see my oh yeah, you can see it. Okay, great. So I'm here in Android Studio, and I've already done a Flutter run. It usually is a heavy process, takes a lot of time to run. I'm already running my app right over here. I did that before the talk started. So let's go over the code. So here's how I use image picker. As I said, I'm specifying the source to be a gallery. So whenever I click on the button, I should see that I have gallery opened up, and I could select any of the images I want from that. Here I am customizing my MLKit model to perform the inferences in a fast mode. You can also try accurate mode and some other modes which are listed in the GitHub repository. So let's first let's first discuss about this. Then we'll come back to the top. So here is how I load my image for the canvas to perform. So I'm first reading it as an array of raw bytes, and then decoding the image from the list. Let's go back. And here is me getting my faces list, or the inference from the face detector model. So I just thought it would be better to show how the image is loaded first, and then go over to the inference part. So yeah, that's pretty much how my app looks like. And let's try a demo of this right over here. So let me bring this to the center so a lot of you can see it. And I just downloaded this image right before the talk on my ABD, just an image from the internet. And let's see how my model performs. It's a group image. So that was pretty fast. and pretty accurate too. It drew bounding boxes over the images very easily. So that was about ML Kit. Try to and making a simple model. So I'll quickly switch my screen back again. Okay. So yeah, go through the GitHub repo, try it out for yourself. All the code is available over there. With that, I'm already running out of time, so I will now be available to take any questions if there are any.
Hi again, Rishit. I hope you can
Hi.
hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Did I
Yeah.
cross the time limit?
Oh, no, no, no. You're just fine. Actually, I just stepped in because we have some questions on YouTube for you.
Okay,
So,
great.
one of the questions that our viewers is asking is that through all of this, do you mean to say that when you use machine learning and artificial intelligence, the apps don't require syncing with cloud?
Oh, so what I'm trying to say is, once you made a model, once you made a TF Lite model, and then maybe after 2 or 3 months, the distribution of data changes. So I'm not sure. I'm sure, pretty sure that a lot of you here are Android developers. But hang on with me. It can happen that the distribution of data changes and you have to make a new model. So in that case, you would of course require to load the new model. So what I do want to do over here is I want to host my model on something like Firebase, or host it anywhere in the cloud. So uh, I don't need to launch out a new app update with the model. I can just change my model in the cloud hosted server, and all of my users would maybe get a notification, try out this new model which works better, try out a new AI algorithms which works better, and we can use that. So yeah, you would of course require syncing to the cloud because the model would ideally change a lot according to the data. So I guess that answers it.
Right. I hope that it answers the question. Another question that we have for you is the viewers want to know what sort of computations are going on the device.
Oh, so in the device, what I'm doing is I'm just loading. I'm just pre-processing my image or pre-processing my data, which is essentially the power consuming operation. And so remember, I said that sometimes it can happen that that your model on the edge is consuming more power than if it was with the cloud hosted server. So that's the power consuming operation. And next up, it's doing inferences. So let's say if you have a TF Lite model and you have an architecture and the weights with you, it's just running the inferences, doing some calculations and putting the data through a neural network or whatever your architecture is, and doing those inferences. It's simply that.
Okay. Another question that is being asked is using the TF Lite model offline, does it increase the overall app size and will quantizing it lead to the decrease in the size of the TF Lite model?
Oh, yeah. So that's actually a good point. Uh, a TF Lite model, if you kind of quantize your TensorFlow or any other model, it would of course lead to a decrease in app size. So of course, I would employ better quantization strategies to reduce my model size. So if you have a larger unquantized model, then it would most probably lead to a larger app size because the user then needs to download the model too. So quantizing the model is essentially a good thing to do, and a lot of times it has been seen. I would say most of the times it has been seen that good quantization strategies reduce a model size by at least one fourth. So that's a good progress on how much you would want to reduce the model size by.
Right. I hope that answers the question. One last question that we'll take, Rishit, at the moment is by Rickson. He's asking, how about live video face detection and recognition? So, what are your views about it? For example, you have touchless attendance systems. So, how would you go
Oh,
about that?
so what I guess Rickson is asking is how do you implement these with MLKit? If I understand the question right. So again, live video face detection is super easy to do with MLKit. I have one project with that on my GitHub. You could check that out. So what you would do is just specify MLKit to use streaming input. So you would do a bit of trade off on the latency and accuracy. Go for a bit of lower latency as you want to show a streaming output to the user, and it's really very easy to do with MLKit. Most of the steps here remain the same.
Okay, I hope that answers the question, Rickson. So, Rishit, I'll very quickly let you wrap up the presentation.
Yeah.
All
So
yours.
uh, yeah. Thank you everyone for coming over here. I hope you understand that I could not answer every question in the comment because I'm already past the time limit. So you can find me on any of my social media handles. Ask me your question right over there. I would be more than happy to answer that for you. And yeah, thank you all for coming over here. It's a Saturday morning, and thank you for listening to me. I hope you took away something with this short term. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation, Rishit. I hope you have given people new things to work on and talk about. Although I should say personally, I love your confidence and I love the way you have been working on so many different things at such a young age. I'm pretty sure that you have a very, very bright future ahead of you.
Thank you.
And we would also love to have you around till the end of the event. So stick
Sure.
around. We'd love to have you in
Sure.
attendance. Thank you very much, Rishit. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you in a while.
Thank you for hosting me.
All right, so that was Rishit, and he was talking about MLKit and implementing artificial intelligence in Flutter. Probably something that you guys can go and talk about now. Next up, we have Devanand. Devanand is a resident software engineer with us at GeekyAnts. Uh, can we have Devanand on the screen, perhaps? Hello, Devanand. Are you here with us?
Yeah, hi Digvijay. Hi everyone. I'm happy to
Hi,
be here.
Devanand. Hi. I can see you now. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. Are you keeping safe? How are things there?
Yeah, all things are going good. I'm happy to be a part of this platform meetup, which I'm presenting for the first time.
Beautiful, beautiful. We are very happy to host you.
Yeah,
So, as a small introduction for Devanand, he has been previously working as an automation testing engineer, but then he joins GeekyAnts Academy as one of the first students, and well, then he translated into a full-time software engineer with us. Uh, he says he's always had a passion towards development, and that's why he went into this field in the beginning. And when he became a developer, he thinks of it as his greatest achievement, which is really humble. So I really appreciate you for that. Apart from breaking and making things, he is an avid bike rider and he loves to go for long rides. And he also travels a lot. And he has explored a lot of places in South India, which I think I'll let him tell you about. And he plans to cover up even more places when the pandemic subsides. So,
yeah,
Yeah. So, Devanand, I will leave you to our viewers and all the best and take it away.
Thank you, Diggy. Thank you. I'll take the lead. So, hello everyone. I hope everyone is safe at your home and happy to be a part of this Flutter meetup. And I welcome you all to our meetup. So, I'm super excited to give a talk on Flutter widget testing. So, uh, you may wonder why testing, why this is going to happen, and why it is important. But I personally feel that since I was a testing engineer before and I became the developer, so I really feel the importance of testing over building any product. So I think testing is one of the most integral part of the product development, and it helps you to build a robust application, and it gives you a great sense of reliability. So I thought this topic needs to be spoken in this Flutter meetup, and I really think this would be interesting to many of the people who are willing to test, but they don't have most of the idea how to test the Flutter app. So I think I can give you some knowledge on how this is going to happen, and how this is going to strengthen your application. And I hope further on your development, you can start testing your applications by your own. So let me start my presentation. I hope my screen is visible. Yeah. So which is testing the untold story. Why this is untold? We as Flutter developers, we have lot of things to do in development. We are completely packed with the work, and we do lot of things exploring in development. But we generally do not do testing that much of extent how much we do the development. So that is why I think this needs to be spoken here. And yeah. So why do I name it as a development phase testing? We generally developers call this as a unit testing, but I wouldn't succumb this to this word unit testing, because this is a widespread phase to be explored. So I think this can be named as development phase testing, because you can test whatever things you are developing. Like you can not only the unit test, you can give us the scope and the coverage for all the things you are developing. So I think this should be rightly named as development phase testing. So what is development phase testing? I have just given a little knowledge about that, and why it is important. So as a developer, I think testing plays a key and major role in building your application step by step. So there is a famous saying, I would like to quote it here: if you do not want to test your application, your customers will also do not want to test it. So that's real, right? So I think testing plays a major role in building the application robust and clean, and strengthen the application from the start. And it gives you a reliability until you complete the product and it goes to the production. So how we are going to do this testing, I would just let you know about my knowledge. So yeah, this is a general trivia on testing, and I think most of the developers will accept this. I'm a busy developer. How can I, or why should I? I would say building a product is an art. It is like putting our entire knowledge, entire our zeal into it, and developing an application wholeheartedly with complete source. So in each and every step of the application, it is very important to see all your things are working properly or not. So I too, as a developer, I too accept this fact that I'm a busy developer. How can I, or why should I? But it is it is an extra support and extra strength to your development that would give you when you are testing your application from the start of your development phase. So that I can assure. Now let's come into the thing, Flutter testing the army. So generally we know Flutter is being used widespread, and as in our company GeekyAnts, we have done a lot of projects using Flutter. So in that sense, when coming to testing the Flutter applications, we have like three types, which I would like to quote here. So the first thing is unit testing. Unit testing is not only common to Flutter, but it's common to all kinds of any kinds of language you are using for development. So I would say it's as a soldier. Why I'm telling it as a soldier? Unit testing is a part of your code. Like you are testing a method, you are testing a variable, or any small kinds of components which you have in your code. If you are testing that, that becomes a unit, and that's why it's rightly named as unit testing. And secondly comes the widget testing, the colonel. Widget testing is very special to Flutter because Flutter runs completely on widget. So it's our duty to test each and every widget works properly, renders the proper action, and it delivers the expected result. So that's why widget testing plays a major and key role in Flutter development. And lastly comes the integration testing. Integration testing, I would say it's a complete process. So how it differs from unit and widget testing is like it's a combination of unit and widget testing. It's a complete process like where you can test the entire process of the application. You can contact with the backend, you can make API calls, and you can test the entire flow of the application like a part of the application. So there it comes the integration testing. And after the application is being developed, you can go for manual testing. But I would like to say one point here, like if you are building this process step by step in the initial stages itself, at last manual testing will not be difficult or a tough task to perform, because you can assure that your development is going fine, neat and clean, so that manual testing will also be done in a proper way. So I would strongly recommend each and every developers to carry over this testing during the initial stages itself. Yeah, now coming to the testing rules. So here we are purely talking about the Flutter project. So I would like to show how the testing folder structures and naming conventions are being done. I guess you are able to see my screen, Android Studio. And here I would like to quote, this is the lib folder where you will be writing all your development modules inside. And here is subfolder called test. If you are creating your own Flutter application, this test folder will be automatically created and it will be there in default. And how I have categorized this test folder is very similar to what we are doing in the lib folder. Like in the library, you can name the Flutter application folders on base of the models and views what you are using. That means the folder structure. I guess every project has its models, modules, services, and widgets based on the patterns they are following to categorize the folder structure, and that is very similar. So in the test folder also you can create packages in the same name what you have created in the library, and you can name it as such. And one more important thing about the naming convention is like you have to name every text file what you are creating with the name underscore test dot dat. This is a very important naming convention. Why? Because like when you are performing the Flutter test action in your command line, so all the files which are being named with this suffix underscore test will be automatically sensed by a Flutter test package, and it will be running the test. So it is very important to have your testing files with the name underscore test in the last, and that is the logical thing what we have to follow. Now we have created something called folders, and we have named the file. And now I would like to touch upon some of the packages which we have to perform Flutter testing. So first thing is like the test. and that would be like the common test package given by the Dart. If you can find this in the pub.dev website. So what happens is like in the test package, if you are using, you are able to test all the Dart related components. So the basic components like methods or functions, you want to return something and you want to test everything, you can perform using this test package. And you can mention this in your prospect.yaml file and you can perform your testing. Next comes the Flutter test. Flutter test is a special package. I wouldn't say it's a package, it's a library, inbuilt library inside your Flutter, and this exports us with the Flutter SDK. So what special thing this Flutter test has is like you can test all the Flutter related special methods in this Flutter test library, and you can see that in your pubspec.yaml. By default, you have this Flutter test dev dependency when you create any new project. So this helps us to specifically test the Flutter related components like the widgets or anything which is very special related to Flutter. You can test using this Flutter test package. And next comes the automation man Flutter driver. I think the viewers who are automation engineers or who have a knowledge about automation, you would have knowledge about the Selenium or Appium, which we use for web and mobile related testing. So it is like a library which is running over the browser, or Appium is a framework which helps us to test the mobile application. It's completely used for automation testing. In that way, our Flutter team has provided us with a package called Flutter Driver. This helps us in actually testing the Flutter application in an automation sense. Like you can, after your application is built, or after a particular component, or after a particular process is being built, you can test your process using this Flutter driver. This, where it has to be done, is a separate topic. We can talk a lot about that. But actually, where it will be there is like it would be created outside this test folder. So you should have a test underscore driver folder for this, and then you can just create your Flutter driver test files, and you can perform the automation testing. And lastly comes the block test. I guess most of the people here, maybe a React Native developer or a Flutter developer, you may have knowledge about the state management. So what is state management is like, we are managing the states which is incoming and outgoing from your project when your project is in a complex manner. Like in a large scale application, to manage the data, state management is very important. And I guess this block state management will be very familiar within the Flutter community, because block is like a very special state management. It gives you a clean architecture and makes your application it's actually tough to implement, but once you are implementing, it gives you a very clean structure to your Flutter application. So in that sense, block test is a special package which is used to test the block related process. Like in your block, you have some events and states which is being emitted, and you perform some special actions for your block. So in that sense, block test is a special package which you can get it from the pub.dev website. It is written as a wrapper over the Flutter test, but it gives you special methods to test the block related components, and that comes the end of this packages slide. Yeah. Next. Now it's time to kickstart the live demo. I would be showing you some code which I have written for this testing, and before that I wanted to show you the application which we are using here for the testing. So this is a very simple application I have just created. What it happens is like it has a text field called it's always success, and yeah. it has a icon button, and it has a counter which counts the number of likes you get. So it's basically like a alternate version for your counter application. But I just wanted to show you like how these basic test actions are performed in this application with our Flutter test package. Since we are more into widget testing now, I would be covering more about the widget testing in this session, so that once after you are pitching into your Flutter project, I think you can also start writing your Flutter test files for all each and every component what you are creating. So yeah, I think this is pretty cool, and we can go to the coding. Yeah, as usual, I have created a widget called, yeah, this is my home screen which you are seeing. And this home screen, what you are seeing here, this will be this code I have written here. Herein, I have a text widget which just has the text scribblings in the app bar, and I have a text is always success, and I have an icon button. So what special thing here I have mentioned is like I have defined a key for the icon button. I have created a special file called keys, and I am assigning a static key to this icon button just for the reference of this icon, and I'm just printing the number of hearts which I am incrementing inside the set state method when this button is pressed. So this is like a very simple UI application, and now let's go into the testing. So what I have done is like I have a test folder here. I have created widgets folder. Inside widgets, I have created a screens package, and inside the screens, I have created something called home screen. And inside the home screen, I am writing a file called home screen widget underscore test.tar. So why this much of navigation is like just in complex applications, if you have multiple screens and multiple things to be tested, it's very important for us to just name that properly and find the particular test file. So in that case, I have written this much of navigations, and I have mentioned the clear structure for the naming, like home underscore screen underscore widget underscore test.tar. So now let's go into the testing. And as usual, for the testing, you have a main method to perform all your testing actions. So main method is very important. And here comes the group. So what this group tells is like, if you have multiple test cases to be performed under a single action, you can use this group method, or else you can just create something called the test widgets, and you can just perform. So I have written multiple test cases, so that's why I'm calling this group method. So it takes like two things. One will be a description, and one will be a async function. So it's a callback. So what I'm doing is like I'm giving proper description in the group folder and in group method. So why this is important is like you can see in the console after your tests are being passed, you will be getting the proper test description and your result. So in that case, I would say like giving proper description is very important to differentiate between your test cases. And also you have some special features to log this inside a separate HTML file, and you can take the results and you can just manipulate. We usually do this in automation testing. What we do is like after all the tests are running, we just collect the report in a separate file. We save it as a report for the future purpose. In that case, I think this description is very important for us to just give the proper description so that we can differentiate between the test cases, and mainly because of this purpose. So I'm taking a callback function here. So first thing what I'll be doing is like I'm writing a method called test widget. This is special method coming from the Flutter test library, I would say, and this is used for testing the properties of the widget. So as the name suggests, it is only specific for the widget, and this will help us to perform some actions and conclude the results until this method gets ended. So here is the same structure. I'm giving a proper description. So testing the home screen title positive scenario, what I'm doing is like I'm just testing this title. It's always success in this particular test case. So for that, I'm taking a tester object from this widget tester class. So basically what this widget tester class, this tester object does is like, it helps us to, you are writing this test as a different folder. Like you are not dependent on the list. You are writing this test inside a different folder. And one more thing is like this testing is a different process. What I would say is like even if your app is running or not, you are doing hot reload, hot restart, whatever actions you are performing, that is a separate process. And Flutter test can be run as a separate process. So the main thing for us for a widget to be tested is like it has to be rendered. It has to be rendered somewhere so that you can test all the properties how this widget is behaving. So in simple words, you are like mocking the application, mocking your widget in a separate process, separate frame. You are drawing the frames in a separate process, and you are testing the application. In that case, this tester object will help us to pump widget and draw the frames, everything. Let's see one by one. So where this tester object helps is like it helps to render the frames and perform the actions on the widget. So yeah, what I am doing is like I'm just creating a string of title. It's always success, which I am having it here. I wanted to test this, so that's why I have created a variable string. It's always success. And what I'm doing is like using this tester object and calling a method called pump widget. So what this pump widget method does is like it renders the UI from the given. So what parameter you are passing inside, that widget will be drawn in the backend as a separate process, and that for that rendering of all the frames for the first time drawing the particular widget, you need this pump widget method. So since I will be using the material app for all those cases, I have separately did this as a widget called make testable widget, where I'll be passing my child and that will be rendered here. So I am calling this make testable widget method, passing the child as the home screen. Where is the home screen? This is the thing what we have created for the UI rendering. So it's very simple. Home screen is a widget, stateful widget. I'm just importing the home screen here, and I'm just passing the home screen as a child parameter to this material app. So what this method completely does is like it will pump the entire widget inside this, drawing all this home screen components inside this material app and returns it, so that you can't be visibly seeing the widget, but this will be drawn and kept it in the backend. So yeah, why do you need a await keyword here? I think most of the people will be aware of this. Like drawing the widget takes some time. So what you can do is like you can just you have a separate in this pump widget method, like you can pass the duration also here, but since our thing is like a very simple widget, I'm not passing the duration, but you can specify the duration also as a separate component here, and you can pass, so that your pump widget will draw the particular frames until this duration gets ended. If you are specifying some time to get to this particular UI widget to get drawn, so that you can pass. Those are some additional parameters, but since ours is a simple thing, we can go by directly passing the widget. And now I am going into a thing called find. So what this find object will do is like, so this find will help you to match or help you to pick what you are sending. Like for example, I am doing find.text, and inside the text method I am passing the title. It's always success. So what I'm creating is like I am creating a finder called title finder here, and I'm having the reference of this title. I mean the always, it's always success is a text, and I am finding a text widget using this find.text, and I am having the result in the title finder. So this find object will help you to find the particular widget using any reference. So you have like different kinds like find.text, find.bykey. Let's see one by one. So what happens is like now is the major important thing which is going to happen, which will perform the testing. Now, so what we have is like we have an expect method. So expect method has two parameters. One will be the finder and one will be the matcher. So what happens is like basically what the test case is like the expected and actual result should be matching. So in that way, we are finding this find by text title. You have the reference here in the title finder, and what you are doing is like this is a special widget called finds one widget. So what it does is like it will take this pump widget like the which is being drawn by this home screen. I mean this pump widget method. This home screen will be drawn, and this title reference will be fetched, and it will find one particular widget with this reference. It will check whether there is one particular widget with this title finder. So this is a finder and this is a matcher. In that case, you write this expect, and this expect will return you the pass or fail of the test cases. Very simple. So let's run this test case, and I will show you like how this will be performed, and I will show you like how are the different ways to run the test cases also. I can show you. So it will instantiate the test, and it will go into the test method. It's always success. It passes the home screen, it gets the reference, and it checks like whether you have one particular widget with that reference. I think you can see it here. My tests are passed. So what happens is like in the home screen, there is one particular widget with this title finder. What is the title finder? It's a text of it's always success. Yeah. So this is how you perform a simple widget testing for a text widget. And as a tester, I personally prefer and I personally feel that what importance we are giving to the positive scenario, it's very important to give us to give the coverage for the negative scenario also. So in that way, what we can do is like I am writing the same thing here, but what I am speaking is like there is already one widget with the title it's always success, but I'm giving the matcher as finds nothing. Let's see what happens here. So basically, it's very important to test a positive scenario like how it works and the negative scenario how it should not work. So it's very important because like you may end up fatal, like you will be testing the positive related things, but you may end up fatal when you don't test what should not happen. See, my tests are failed. Why? Because like there's one particular widget with finds one widget with the title finder, but I am performing finds nothing. That's why the test is failed. It makes sense, right? So yeah. Now let us go to the icon button. So this is like a heart icon button I have created. Now I will be giving you a special scenario. You remember I have given a particular key for this icon button. So this key will be key dot icon button. So what I'm doing is like I'm just simply tweaking the find mechanism. So what I'm doing is like I'm creating a final button key equal to key dot icon button. I'm just getting the reference in this button key, and I am in the finder. I am just referencing the widget using find dot by key method. So I will be passing this by key method inside this find dot by key. So what it does is like it will get the reference of the widget which is being referenced with this particular key. You may wonder why do we need this key structure? So for example, if you have a list, a scrollable list of objects, and everything is a text widget there. So you may find some instances where the text is being repeated in the list. So in that case, if you are finding using the text, you can't differentiate between the two text which is having the same content. So in that case, in development phase itself to refer the particular to give the separation between the widgets we are using the key, and that's the same thing what we are doing for this find by key here also. Like while developing it, so that's what I was telling. While developing any UI widget or any UI code, you just give the proper key structure. Just create a class like this for all the screens, and if you are creating a key structure, it would be helpful for you for testing in the future. Like if you are developing and your colleague is writing the test cases, he does not need to touch upon the code. He can just refer this particular widget using the key, and he can perform the testing operation. So I would strongly suggest everyone to properly give all the structure while developing phase itself, so that it will be helpful for you in the future for testing without touching the development code. So what I'm doing is like I'm exactly getting the reference of the widget using the find dot by key, and I'm taking find one widget, and as usual, what does it like? It renders the home screen. It checks for this button key, finds one widget, and you can see my test is going to pass here. In the same way, I have written something called negative scenario here, like finds nothing. You have like many methods here, like finds one widget, finds n widgets, finds the widgets. Like if you have multiple instances and you know the number of occurrences, you can use this finds n widget, or you can use finds nothing or finds widget. So my test is passed as expected, pretty cool. And this is going to fail, obviously. Let's see that result later. And now I'm going to perform a small action in this particular UI, and I'm going to test. So what happens is like, so this icon button, it will, on clicking of the icon button, you can see the number of cards is getting increased. So that is what I'm going to perform it inside this last case. So check button actions and find whether hearts are incremented. That's what I'm going to perform here. So let's go one by one. So like parallelly after test got failed as expected, and let's go to the next final set of test case. So here what I'm doing is like same thing. It's a combination of both the test cases what we did previously. Like I am finding the button key, and I am performing the find action for this button key, and I'm storing the reference in the button finder, and I am find by text of 0. So what happens is like when your home screen is rendered in the backend, but like the initial state, this count will be 0. So what I'm doing is like I'm just checking whether your initial state, your text will be 0. It is 0 like this. I have restarted the application. So I'm just finding the text using 0, and I'm just storing it in the Arts Finder. I'm just checking whether there is one particular widget. I'm performing small step-by-step actions here. So this is the elephant in the room. So what we are going to discuss is like we are going to perform some actions in the button, and we are going to check whether it's rendered properly. So what happens is like I have a method called tester.tap. What it does is like it will tap the particular widget, what is being found and what is being sent into as reference. So here I have got the button finder. I am just passing this into this tap method. What it does is like it goes and taps this hard button once. You can't see it here, like it will be performing in the back end. So now this action is happened. Now you may wonder why I'm using tester.conf. This is the most important and key point I would like to refer, because so you are performing some action, and what you do is like you are drawing the widget screen in the initial stage. Now you are performing some action. Now usually in your development you have something called set state or state management, which will notify the listeners and which will draw the widget frame again, so that you can see like on every tab this counter part is redrawn again. You are seeing the difference. But when it happens in the back end, how you are able to do? So in that case, you need to pump the widget you have drawn again, to see the performance, to see the difference which has been happening. So that is why we are using this await tester.pump. It's a very simple method. It redraws the entire frame which has been assigned in this tester. So it takes the pump widget reference and it pumps once again. So now what we are doing is like after it's been tagged and after it's been pumped, now we are checking whether the text is being 1. So in the initial state it was 0, and after one particular tap action it becomes 1. And this is like a same thing which we are finding, like we are Pathfinder after tapping, we are creating a reference dot find dot plus 1, and now we are finding one widget. And this is like a very simple case what you can perform on this, like tapping a button action, and you can redraw the frame and you can check whether that frame is redrawn. I have given an additional test coverage here. Like now, after this is being redrawn and after this is being referenced, the older reference, like find.text.0 should not be there. So that's why I'm expecting Pathfinder, finds nothing. So this will be the finder and this will be the matcher. So let's run this case and see the results. So what happens is like it goes one by one.
Devanand, I'm sorry to interrupt in the middle. I think we are way past the time, so this is the right time to wrap up the presentation.
Yeah, I will wrap it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you may see this test is being passed here. So what happens is like all the actions are performed and you are seeing the test results are passed. So in that way, we can write all those test cases for each and every screen or particular widgets you are writing, and you can perform all the actions. And I would like to just touch upon one thing, like how to run these test cases at the end. Like what we can do is like in the terminal, we can have just a simple command called flutter test, which will automatically run all the test cases which you have written inside the test folder, and it will get you the results. So where it is important is like if you are passing your code to some other team, or if you are rendering the code to anyone, like what it should happen is like they will be running the text package first and they will be then running the application. So based on the results of the test case, this test cases results should give you a reliability and a robust thing to be performed, so that you can assure that your app is in a good state to run. So as expected, like I had two negative scenarios and three positive scenarios. So two cases are failed here and three cases are passed here. So this is a very simple application, like very simple test file which I had written. There are a lot of more things to explore. Like in integration cases, you have something called Mockito package, where you can just mock the backend. You can perform all the API operations. You can just perform the entire actions to be happen. But and that can be explored a lot. So today we have covered about the widget test cases, and I think this will be giving you some hope to perform testing in all the future projects you are performing. So I guess this would have given some knowledge about you. Thank you everyone for this opportunity.
Hi again, Devanand. Thank you so much for that presentation.
Thank you.
We have one question from the viewers for you.
Yeah.
Naveen wants to know if he wants to test the OTP verification in an app. How can he test that scenario? What are the ideal test cases for it?
He wants to test what particular feature?
An OTP verification feature.
OTP verification. Okay. So it's very simple. Like OTP verification is like a service. So what you have is like you have some packages called Mockito. So that's what I was telling. So you can't run the live service and you can just test the thing. But what you can do is like using the Mockito, what exact API result is coming from the API service, that is the OTP service. You can mock it using your Mockito, and you can just get the result. and you can fill that OTP in your particular text widget and you can test it. So basic thing is like in integration testing, when it comes to integration testing, you have lots of more to explore like the API basic service calls, API responses, everything you can test. But since you do not want to test that in the live, I mean like you don't want to make the API call, you can just mock everything using your function and you can just perform those actions. Like in the mockup, will be writing a method which will return something called OTP, like a string of OTP, and you can test that particular action. That is how it can be covered. I think that answers this question.
Right. I hope it answers the question. So that's all we have for you at the moment, Devanand. If there are any more questions, we'll probably tackle them towards the end of the session. I really want to thank you for being with us today and sharing your information and valuable knowledge with us.
Yeah, I feel a great pleasure to have a talk in this Flutter meetup. So I thought this Flutter testing is a very important topic to be known by all the developers. It plays a very key integral role. So that's why I thought I could give a presentation. For any discussion regarding any technical stuff, you can just follow me at this Twitter ID. So I will be happy to help you, everyone. And thank you. Be safe. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Please stick around till the end of the event. We'd love to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nitish.
All right, guys. So that was Devanand, and he was talking about Flutter widget testing. Uh, we have three more talks on the list for you, and the next on the list is Ayush. Uh, Ayush Shekhar is going to be talking about working with device cameras in Flutter. Hope we can have Ayush here on screen. Yes, there he is.
Hi,
Very good afternoon, Ayush. How are you doing?
very good afternoon. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. Uh, so, as a short introduction for Ayush, he is a full stack engineer with an expertise in Flutter. He loves to develop cool personal apps and loves to read thrillers and literary pieces with depth. Uh, which are the current favorites that you have read recently, or which is the current that you're reading at the moment?
I mean, right now I'm not reading anything, but the last piece which I read was Inferno.
By Dan Brown.
Yes.
I've read that. It's brilliant.
Yeah, all of his books are brilliant.
I know, right? Also, Ayush here has been a speaker in a lot of different events throughout the country, and he also loves to binge watch Sherlock over and over again. Ayush, which dialogue is your favorite from Sherlock?
I mean, on a personal level, I have no friends, John. I only have one. Do you remember from which episode that is? That's from Hounds of Baskerville, season 2, episode
Yes,
2.
yes. Look, he's talking like a real geek here. Season 2, episode 2 is giving you the names of the episodes and everything. Wonderful. So you can talk about Sherlock. If you are a Sherlock geek too, you can talk all about it with him. But at the moment, Ayush, I'll give you the stage and please go on with your presentation. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It's a Saturday morning, and all of you are here for a Flutter talk. It's really amazing to have you here. And I hope all of you can see my screen now. It should be visible any minute. So let's talk about Flutter, and let's talk about how we can go ahead and use device cameras in Flutter. So first of all, welcome to Flutterverse. We are, a very active and vibrant community of developers who have this, insane passion for creating beautiful applications in Flutter. Um, my name is Ayush. I'm a full stack developer. So what we'll be discussing today is that which plugins we are going to use for accessing and using the device camera in Flutter, the methods that will come in handy when we create instances of those plugins, some minute details, some gotchas, things that you need to keep in mind, things that you may face difficulty with when you're doing this implementation on your own, and certain limitations that the current camera plugin and the current media playback have. And maybe talk about how to overcome those limitations. So Flutter is perfectly suited for a variety of applications, but where you may struggle a bit is where you have to do some kind of a hardware interaction, right? Wherein some very hardware dependent APIs on the device come into picture. For example, the camera. And where would you want to use the camera? For example, if you were creating a blog, let's say, in which users can, go ahead and create blog posts, or a social network like Facebook. So in that case, you would then have to allow the user to upload and create rich media content, wherein you might have to display um, the camera preview, and you would have to allow the user to capture a picture or capture a video file using the app itself, using the Flutter app itself that you have created for the user. So in that case, you will have to use the camera plugin, and you have to use the device camera. Another thing is that if your app allows for something called stories, like now we see stories everywhere, be it Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Messenger, WhatsApp, whatever app you mostly use every day, all these apps have something called stories. So if you want to implement something like that in your application, make it super contentful and super interactive, then you can use the camera plugin and the media playback functionality that we'll be talking about today. Also, the camera plugin and but the media playback functionality in itself, not the camera plugin as such, but the media playback functionality in itself can come in very handy while collecting feedback from the users. So for example, if your app has a provision wherein users can go ahead and give you feedback about your app, or give submit certain bug reports, then they may need to upload content, right? And you need to be able to play that content inside the application also. So for example, if they are recording their screen and then they are to share it with you as feedback, then in that case you can have a video player over there so that they can play back their video right inside that submit a bug screen, and they can check if it is the right video or not. So these are certain a very small subset of use cases in which you may need content rich and media rich applications, wherein you may want to use the device camera and video players, etc. I'm sure there would be a ton more use cases, and you can definitely go ahead and find yours. So yeah, I mean, that was it for my presentation. Actually, I do not have any more presentation slides, but what I would definitely like to do is I would like to show you a live demo that I coded about in about 15 minutes from 11:30 to 11:45. And if I can code this fully functional live demo in 15 minutes, then what is stopping you from doing the same, right? Let's head over to the demo, which a Flutter application that I've created today right now, running on an Android device, the screen of which I have mirrored over here. So you would know that this is an app running live right now, because I can do something like this. I can create a video which is similar to something called Inception. I can do something like this, and you can see that this is a fully functional app that I created today. It has almost like, it is just one file, the main.dart file, with about 189 lines of code, and it is that simple, right? So this is what we'll be going through today. But let's let's do a quick demo, and then we'll go through the code. So if I put it like this and then click on the camera button, then it will capture a picture and show it to me. We also have a reset button in the top of the app bar, which if we click, then it resets the entire thing. We also have a video button. So if I record a video, it will turn to red while it is recording the video. And once I click on it again, it will stop recording the video and it will play the video, right? You can see the video being played. You can also click over here to see the video is being played. So this is a fully functional app that I have created for this session. And let's go through the plugins that we'll be using, that we are using over here. I mean, there are some plugins. So first of all, we'll be using the camera plugin. This camera plugin is released by the Flutter team themselves. They have created this camera plugin, and using this camera plugin, we can have a live camera preview inside a widget in Flutter inside a Flutter application. We can, capture pictures, we can record video, and we can do all of these basic stuff using the camera plugin, which the Flutter team has released. This is an official Flutter plugin. Secondly, whenever we are going to be taking a picture, we have this handy documentation which you can refer to. If you just Google take a picture in Flutter, you will get to this documentation. And this has everything that you would need for taking a picture. Essentially, what it does is that it makes use of these two plugins, Paths and Paths Provider. So using these two plugins, we actually get the file, path where we want to create that media file, which we are going to either capture or record, and then we pass that path to the camera plugin, and as a result, we get our media, either a picture or a video. Then again, we will be using the video player plugin. That is also an official Flutter plugin released by the Flutter team themselves. And using this video player plugin, we can actually go ahead and play the videos that we have captured from the camera. But we won't be using this directly. We will be actually using a very amazing plugin called Flick Video Player. This is actually one of the coolest video player plugins for Flutter there is. And quite interestingly, this Flick Video Player was actually created in-house by GeekyAnts, our organizers for today. I also have this tweet by Ruchika. She is also a software developer at GeekyAnts, and she and Raghav Ahuja, also an employee at GeekyAnts, have created this super cool video player plugin for Flutter, and they have open sourced it. So thank you guys. If you're here, then hi, and I've learned a lot from you. Thank you. So yeah, we'll be doing the video playback using this Flick Video Player plugin, and it is so simple to use. So all of these are the different components that we'll be using today. And let's go ahead and dive into the code. So the first thing, let me reset this, and you can see that there is a live camera preview that is happening, right? So the first thing that you have to do while you're using the camera plugin is that you have to declare something called a list of camera descriptions. So what is a camera description? A camera description is basically how do I say an implementation or an abstraction of the different cameras you have. So for example, if you have two cameras, we will be getting two different camera descriptions for your device. So in my device, I have a rear camera and I have a front camera. So I will be getting two camera descriptions over here in this list. So we'll be fetching the list of cameras that are available to the device, and we'll be storing it over here. Now, next up is a camera controller. So this is required when you have got a camera description. That is, we have verified that the device on which we are running the app is actually capable of showing a live camera preview. It has an operational camera. Then what we can do is we can initialize the camera controller using any of the available camera descriptions, and then we can go ahead and continue our work. So I also have a simple loading indicator just to compensate for any async operations or any heavy operations in the UI. Also, I have two variables called camera photo and camera video. Basically, I think they're self-explanatory. These are files that we'll be capturing using the camera. This one will store the camera photo, that is the picture that we'll be capturing, and this one will store the video we'll be capturing. Also, when we are capturing the video, we will also have to, because capturing a video is actually happening over a period of time, then in that case, what we'll do is we will be storing the path that we have provided to the camera plugin, so that once we stop the video recording, then we already have the paths of the file that we have created the video in, correct? And then we have the super cool Flick Video plugin, Flick Video Player's Flick Manager instance, using which we'll be playing back the video that we have captured. So in the init state, right when the app is loaded first and the screen appears, what we'll be doing is calling an init camera method. What this init camera method will do is that it will first fetch the list of available cameras. This available cameras method is not something that I have defined. It is already defined in the camera plugin package that we have used, right? Now this available cameras method, what it does is that it returns to us a list of camera descriptions. That is a list of uh, cameras that are available on the device. So then once we have that, once this is done, what we can do is, as I said, we can go ahead and initialize the camera controller with with any of the cameras that we have received. So I'm going with the primary camera. That is the first camera that we have received in the available cameras method. So yeah, if you have more than one camera, if you can always check over here how many cameras you have received. And if you have received more than one cameras, then you can specify any camera description over here. Also, there is a resolution preset that you need to define for this camera controller. If I can set this to high, low, max, medium, ultra high, very high. So all of these are the resolution presets. Um, Remember that this is going to impact your videos and pictures that you're going to take, because if you set it to low, then you will be generating low resolution pictures and videos, which will definitely take up less space. And if you set this to max, then it will, the camera will be initialized with a resolution that is the maximum supported by your device. So, that can result in very heavy pictures and videos with a large size. So that is there. I have set it to max just so we have clear videos and pictures. Then once you have you know once you have initialized the camera controller, then what you can do is you can initiate once you have created an instance of the camera controller, then you have a method called initialize, which returns a future, so you have to await for it. And once you do this, then your camera controller will be initialized, and now this camera controller is going to be used over in our UI over here. So we have, in the camera plugin, we have a widget called camera preview that takes in a camera controller. So once we have initialized it, that is, once we have the camera and we have initialized it, we can set the is loading to false. And once is loading is false, we switch over to this part. Now, since camera video and camera photo both are null at this point, we get to the camera preview that shows us a live preview. For example, right now, this is the live preview that you are getting. I can show it to you, and you can see that it is completely live, and you can see a live preview of the camera plugin from the camera plugin, right? We now come into the floating action buttons present in the UI. We have a row of two floating action buttons. One is for capturing a picture and another one is for capturing a video. And both are separated by a size box. Pretty simple, right? Now, one takes use of a take picture method that I have created, and one makes use of the capture video method that I have created. So these floating action buttons will only be visible when the camera preview is visible. So if we have a media already, they will not be visible. And that should be the case, right? We should not annoy the user. We should let them, have an enriching experience playing back their media or viewing their photo that they have taken from our super cool app. So that is there. Also, what we can do is we can reset by hitting the button in the top. And let's look at the take picture method for now. I'll just quickly take you through both of these methods, and it is pretty simple actually. So in the take picture method, we are just going to create a file path for our image. I have just taken the current timestamp and given the extension of .png. I can pass this path to our camera controller's take picture method, and that is all. Then once this is done, once this picture is taken, I can refer to this file and store this inside camera photo and preview this. Preview this over here. It is as simple as that. Very, very simple. Okay. That is all for the take picture method. I mean, it's just one method that you have to call after you have initialized your path. For the capture video method though, it is a bit more complicated, but it is also simple, because what you will be essentially doing is you will be starting the video recording and then you will be ending the video recording. So this capture video takes in a start property, and it can not take that also. We can just do the check over here, but let's stick to it. So for the first time when you click on this video button, let me just click on this video button for now. So when you first click on this video button, what will happen is that it will, initialize the path just like in the picture method. But this time the extension will be .mp4 and not .png or jpg. Then um, you will pass that path to the start video recording method, and it will start the video recording. Also, we'll be using a set state operation to store this path that we have provided to the start video recording method in our state. And next time when you click on the video icon, then what it will do is that it will come over here and it will check in the camera controller if it is recording the video or not. If it is recording the video, then it will stop the video recording. And now, since we have already stored the path in which the video will be saved in our state, what we can do is we can create a file out of that path and pass it to the Flick manager. Remember the super cool video player plugin that we were using? Yeah, that. I mean, it takes care of everything. You don't have to initialize the video player controller yourself also. Just pass it to the constructor and that's all. That's all you have to do. So Flick, you just create an instance of Flick manager, and then we can set the capturing video paths to null because the capture process is already completed. So coming to the preview now, when camera video is not equal to null, what we can do is we can just have a simple widget called Flick Video Player that is provided by the plugin, and you have to pass in the Flick manager that you have created over here. Once you do that, you get a built-in amazing player that you can see. It handles everything. You get a seek bar, you get a pause button, you get everything. I mean, it's all there, right? The controls will automatically hide themselves also. You can choose to go full screen. All of this you can do. I mean, let me show you the full screen also. See, all of this you can do right out of the box. You don't have to do anything. If you were building a video player controls yourself, then you would have noticed how difficult it would be. I mean, not so difficult, but then you would have to take a lot of things into consideration. But thanks to GeekyAnts, we have all of this done for us. So thank you for that, guys. That's really amazing. So yeah, if you have if camera video is not equal to null, we just play the video. If camera photo is, if it is null, that is if camera video is null, then what we can do is we'll check if camera photo is not null. If camera photo is not null, then we'll display the photo. And if both of these things are null, then we'll display the camera preview with the floating action buttons to capture the device media. That is all. That is all you have to do to accept user generated content, be it an image or a video. That is all you have to do. It is really that simple, and that is why I was able to create this app within like 15 minutes. That is all it took. So yeah, let's take a picture and keep it like this. So now that we have covered all the ground for the camera and media playback, let's talk about something else. So I am obligated to, and it is my responsibility that I also tell you about the limitations of the camera plugin. So many of you would want to have a flash button in your camera UI, using which you can either set the flash to auto, or you can set it to always on, or you can set it to always off. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that is not currently supported by the camera plugin. I know, I was surprised too. So what you can do is there are other camera plugins, but in my experience, they don't work very well. I mean, I've been following a studio on Twitter, and I think they've created an enhanced version of a camera plugin, which is going to be released soon. So, check that out if it works for you. All the other camera plugins didn't work for me. We have this open issue over here in the official Flutter GitHub repository. If you want that flash feature, please, 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 it is my humble request, go ahead and react to this issue. Also, you may mention in the comments how you are going to use it. See, I have mentioned in my comments that this is a basic feature that we need. So let's, motivate the Flutter team to do this. So yeah, that is one of the limitations that you get. Also, sometimes it may be a challenge for you to manage portrait videos and landscape videos differently. I mean, you may want to. So in that case, what you can do is you can make use of an aspect ratio widget and a rotated box. So all of these things are something that we get with Flutter. There is an aspect ratio widget in Flutter using which you can provide the aspect ratio for the widget that you have. The Flutter team has also created a video about it. You can go ahead and check this out if you have problems like that. Also, there is a rotated box widget in Flutter. So using this rotated box widget in Flutter, you can specify the number of turns that you want to rotate this widget by, and each turn is equal to a 90-degree rotation. So if I put in 1 over here, then my widget will tilt. If it is like this, then it will turn like this, right? I mean, I can show it to you also. So yeah, we have a picture, right? If I wrap this inside a rotated box and given quarter turns as, let's say, 1, then you will see that it is rotated. It is rotating by 90 degrees. Then if I do this, it will be rotated by 180 degrees, 270 degrees, and a full 360-degree rotation. So when you use this with videos, then you will get some extraordinary results if you use it carefully. But yes, it can definitely provide you a good solution, right? So these are the two things which I had faced while I was implementing the camera and media playback in Flutter. And I hope that if you come across these challenges, you would be in a better position, in a more informed position than me. And I mean, really, guys, that was it from my side. These were all the things that I had on my plate. Let's, yeah, before wrapping up, the code that I used for this, the demo code that I used for this demonstration during this session is available on my GitHub, and you can go ahead and check this out. I think the Flutter Bangalore team will also post the link to this in the chat, so do see it over there. Also, I have a personal website called ayush.codes, really simple, ayush.codes. You can find me over there, check out all my social links, everything over there, and you can reach me from here. So that was it from my side. Thank you for having me, guys, and I hope that I could add, some value to your Saturday mornings and Saturday afternoons. Thank you.
Hi again, Ayush.
Hi.
So much publicity. You are my new favorite. A huge shout out to Ruchika and Raghav for creating the Flick video player. Also wanted to add that there's an article about it coming soon on the GeekyAnts blog on our main website, so do look out for that as well. And the Flash thingy is a real problem, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I mean, I could feel your pain through your words. So uh, here's what we are going to do. The GeekyAnts team, if you're listening, you know what to do. Go ahead, pounce on this, get it done, because we demand
Yes,
it.
I mean, you will definitely get a huge audience from there.
Anyway, so Ayush, we have one question for you from one of our very old friends, Hasnan Tai.
Oh,
He
I
has
know him. Hi,
asked,
Hassan.
hi, so he's asking, can we apply filters to the clicked images directly in our app, or do we need an extra plugin to apply filters on the images clicked?
To the images, I think yes, you can do that. Interestingly, Flutter has a widget called Color Filtered. I don't know if you know about that, Hassan. So what you can go ahead and do is just search in Google for a widget called Color Filtered, and I think there is a video about it by Emily Fortuna, who was in the developer relations team at Flutter some while back. So you can use that color filtered widget to go ahead and experiment with the blend mode and the different kinds of colors that you want to apply a filter with on the image. Using that, you can, I think, achieve that. And yes, I think that answers the question.
Wonderful. I hope it answers your question, Hasnan. I know you're going to leave the stream and try it right now, knowing you. Anyway, so Ayush, thank you so much for all the information that you've shared with us today. Thank you for being here. It was lovely hosting you, and we would love to see you till the end of the event.
Sure, likewise. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, that was Ayush, and he was talking about using different camera devices with Flutter. We have only two more talks for you. We're not going to keep you for long. I promise we're going to wrap it up as soon as we can. But the next speaker on the cards is Shiva. We have actually been making him wait for a long time, and he'll be talking about Flutter apps which are powered by GraphQL with Hasura. Shout out to the Hasura team. I hope we can have Shiva on the stream now. There he is. Hi, very good afternoon. I don't know which time zone you're in. Are you in Orlando at the moment? Shiva, we cannot hear you. I think there's a problem with the mic. Could you check that, please? Are you on mute by any chance?
No, I'm not in the mute.
Yes, yes, I can hear you faintly. I think there's a volume issue.
Can you hear me now?
No, we can hear you really faintly at the moment.
Can you hear me?
No, you probably want to check use a different mic, perhaps.
Is it okay? Is it better?
We can hear you, but your volume is really, really low.
Is it better now? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
yes, I
Okay,
can hear you
great.
now. Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to the Flutter Remote Meetup, Shiva. Are you in Orlando at the moment?
Yeah, I'm in Orlando. I'm in US Eastern Time Zone. It's
So I
12:30.
I hope you're keeping safe. I know we've kept you waiting for long.
Yeah, it's okay. Uh, it's my pleasure to talk. So it's okay. And also we have like amazing great session before, right? So I'm happy to be joining and speaking here.
Wonderful. So, as a short introduction about Shiva, he is a software architect working at Computer Enterprises Incorporated in Orlando. He helps teams build and deliver mobile, IoT, and cloud and architecture specifications. Uh, he calls in being involved in developer-related community work his guilty pleasure, where he can share projects, ideas, and of course learn from other developers. So, Shiva, I am going to leave the stage to you, and please proceed with the presentation.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, and good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Thanks, GeekyAnts and also Flutter Bangalore for hosting me today. So today I'm going to talk about the Flutter applications powered by GraphQL with Hasura. And Vijay already introduced me. I'm Shiva, working as architect in CEI, Computer Enterprise Inc. And I'm mainly focusing on mobile cloud and IoT solutions. You can follow me at my Twitter handle at Sivamuthu. If you have any questions during the session or after the session, we can talk about that. So the agenda of the session today is I'm going to talk about the Hasura GraphQL, how it's powering this PostgreSQL database into the GraphQL server, and also how we can set up the Hasura GraphQL server, which is very easy setup where we can run this GraphQL service for any POCs or even some of the product we can deliver, right? So how easy that setup is, I'm going to talk about that a little bit, and also how we can integrate this GraphQL with the Flutter apps. So we have this Flutter apps. We know we can build the beautifully stunning UI using this Flutter application, right? But how we can integrate this GraphQL backend to the Flutter application. So I'm going to show you the demo and a couple of code snippets how we can implement that, right? And finally, a short demo doing this all this stuff like a GraphQL, Flutter integration, and other things. So let's start with the GraphQL, right? So GraphQL is a specification. It's based on the simple principle, which is running on what you want is what you get. So what does that mean is instead of having this REST endpoint, we are having this new specification or like new standard that's built by the Facebook, it's running in these three steps, right? One is describe your data. So both client side and the back end, they are running on the simple principle like, okay, I need to come up with this agreement and this is how my data going to be look like. For example, here we have this project type and it says like I am having this name, tagline, and contributors. These are the different fields. The server is going to send it to the client, right? And from the client side, we usually in the REST API, we have like just call the endpoint. But here from the client side, what the client is going to ask is, okay, I need the project and the name should be the GraphQL and just give me the field, only the tagline field. I'm not interested in name or contributors field. So that's what like we are asking. And then the server is going to return the predictable result. What is that predictable result is, instead of sending like, okay, this is my data, keep it in whatever data format you have, right? Instead of that, since both the client and server is coming with the agreement, the server is going to send the exact format the client is asking for. So that's what like these three principles, like a describe your data, ask for what you want, and get predictable results, which is exactly the same structure what we have in like what client is requested. So when we compare to the REST and the GraphQL, you can see the REST endpoint, we have this client and we have like multiple endpoints, right? So we have this data sources, so multiple endpoints making like a query or update to the data source based on this what resource we are making it of. So REST is everything is like resource based queries. For example, I need to get the post and also like I need to get the comments for that post. I have like multiple endpoints like /post/post/1 for getting the post detail, and getting the comments. I need to have like another endpoint that's getting the comment resource for that particular post, right? So we are having this multiple round trip we are making from like a client to the server. So either we end up in like overfetching or underfetching problems. Overfetching is like we are trying to get like more data from the server, but I don't need it to display that in the client side. Underfetching is like I don't have enough data from the server in the single call, so I'm making like more round trip calls. It's not like round trip, it's more like a waterfall calls to get like all the data that's needed to display in the UI. I'm trying to get it from the server, right? So that's how the REST endpoint works. But the GraphQL, it's trying to solve this problem, both overfetching and underfetching. So the GraphQL client, we have only one endpoint. Instead of having like multiple endpoints, we are having like one single post endpoint. And using that post endpoint, we are going to post the query based on like this format. So once that query is posted into this post endpoint here, then the multiple resolver or like the arbitrary code that's getting the data or like updating the data from the data sources. So that's how this basic concepts of like a GraphQL and how it differs from the rest. Now, I need to develop an application, right? I need to develop the application, and also like instead of using the REST, I need to use the GraphQL. So one option is I can just like create the GraphQL service either through Node.js or like any of the server I'm wishing for. But there are like a lot of implementation or like a lot of learning curve I need to do. So what we can do is um, there is a new service. It's like a Bangalore and San Francisco based product. It's like a Hasura GraphQL engine. So what they started doing is they are taking this PostgreSQL database, right? So just to give the schema of the PostgreSQL, just to create the schema or like just to create the tables inside the PostgreSQL, this GraphQL engine is trying to convert all those tables and queries into the GraphQL queries. So literally, if I want to set up a table like a user session table, right? Then once I set up this PostgreSQL schema there, then the Hasura GraphQL engine is built on top of this PostgreSQL, and it's giving this GraphQL service to query your database. So instead of creating my own service, I can create like this Hasura GraphQL engine to like contact with my PostgreSQL database and convert everything into like a GraphQL queries. So in case like I'm developing a new product, or like in case I'm doing some POC, I want to spin up my server fast, and also like I want to spin up the high quality GraphQL server, right? So I'm just focusing on like designing my schema and give it to the Hasura, and Hasura would be taking care of like converting these into the GraphQL server. So this one I have seen like it's very pretty interesting, and also like the team is doing a great job on on this Hasura product. So kudos to the Hasura team, and also like they have released this Hasura Cloud, which is like managed GraphQL services in the cloud. So I'm like a very happy to be like talking about the Hasura, and also like congrats to the Hasura for like the latest achievements, right? So now like we need to set up the GraphQL server. So what we need to do is, since Hasura GraphQL engine is like open source, you can run that on like in your local machine or in your Docker, and also like in your Heroku or like any cloud providers. And also Hasura itself is giving this managed GraphQL service using the Hasura cloud. So you can just like sign up to the Hasura cloud, and they are having like additional features apart from that, the open source engine, right? So for this demo, I have set up this Hasura GraphQL server in the Heroku. So if you open this app, you can see this is the Hasura GraphQL engine here, right? So they have like multiple tabs. One is like a GraphQL. This is like the playground for the GraphQL server. And also they have this data. So this data is nothing but how you are setting up the PostgreSQL database, right? So in this demo, I have just like set up these tables, like a speaker table and talk table. So if you go to the playground, you can say like, okay, I set up the speaker table and see this query. These are like auto-generated by this Hasura GraphQL engine itself. So the speaker query is just like pulling up the fields, whatever I have configured in my PostgreSQL schema, like ID, name, and Twitter ID. This is like the three fields. So they are having the same fields here that's coming as the GraphQL server. So if I want to see like what are the speakers, so I can just like query the speaker with like ID, name. Then I would be getting that result back. In case I want like, okay, I don't need the ID, I need like just name and Twitter. So I can say like a name and Twitter here. And if you run that, you would be getting those data also. So it's based on like how you are querying and how you are getting the result. Instead of running like your own code and your own Node.js server, this Hasura is like everything is like quick and ready. So I'm suggesting this one to use for your product or like the POC developments. So that's simple, right? But let's say like what are the other features? Let's say I want to call like some other remote schema, or like I need to have my custom code apart from this PostgreSQL database. So they have these actions and also like the remote schemas. So the actions is nothing but like apart from this Hasura CRUD operation, you can have your own custom business logic. So you can use this custom business logic from this action, pointing to your any of your custom business Node.js server or like any server. And also if you want to merge like multiple GraphQL schemas, you can have like these remote schemas. So apart from this CRUD operation, you can have like another GraphQL service endpoint to do this stitching, like a schema stitching into this GraphQL server. So that's how this Hasura overall works. And also like they are having more features adding in like events, and also like in the Hasura cloud, they are having caching support. So definitely you need to check out this Hasura for like more understanding how GraphQL works, and also like how easy to set up that, right? So we have those backend parts set up. Now, how we can integrate this into the Flutter application. So let's see that part. For that one, I have developed this demo. So this demo is about like developer emotions. So I see like many of you already know, like we have this emotion tracker application that's for that's built in the Flutter, which is called Reflectly, right? So the Reflectly is nothing but like a emotion journal where you can like track your emotion every day or like every hour at the time. But I want to I want to develop this emotion tracker in the developer context because that's more like important for me. Like no emotion is like a negative emotion. The only thing is how we are reacting to that specific emotion, right? Even like the anger is the emotion, which is like it's a good one because it would express when it's love us. So everything is like a good emotion, but the only thing is we need to track and also like we need to identify that emotion and how we are responding to that emotions, right? So for that, for I have created this application in the developer context, the same journal application where we are tracking the emotions. So this is developed in Flutter and powered by the GraphQL server that's built in the Hasura. It has simple screens, right? The four screens. One is we are just trying to logging in, and the second thing is like it has the journal. We can see like the journal of all developers, like who felt happy and what are the developer activity that trigger that particular emotion, right? For example, here I am like a very happy because I played video games for an hour, or like I'm very angry because I got some build error. I don't know what's going on there, right? Or like I have some anxious because of the meeting, or like I'm confused. I don't know. I couldn't understand the block. So these kind of like a different emotion. So I try to create this emotion tracker associated with the specific developer activities here, right? So the simple thing is we need to click add an emotion. So this is like another list of emotions here. So once I select this, I can select like what is the developer activity. So it's based on like both category and also like the activities, right? So for developing this, I need to spin up the Hasura GraphQL server. So I have this another GraphQL server like a Flutter Dev Emotion Tracker, and I deployed in the Heroku. So it has the tables such as like what is the user table, the journal, and also like the emotions, categories, and activities. Everything is like lookup table, right? The only update table is going to be happen on this journal table wherever we are creating the journal based on the date. So once I set up this schema and add those like fields, like what are the fields I need, and also like add the data, my GraphQL server is ready. So my backend is ready so that I can integrate this into my Flutter application, right? So to integrate the Flutter application, let's go with my Flutter code here. So in this code, let's start with the pubspec.yaml. So what are the dependencies I need to integrate the GraphQL in my Flutter application? We have this GraphQL Flutter package in like in pubspec.yaml. So you can add that dependencies GraphQL Flutter in your dependencies here. And I have included the dependency, but I need to configure where I need to call my GraphQL server data, right? So for that, I have created this config.dot, and it has a couple of links, right? The one is HTTP link. So this is where I'm configuring like, okay, this is where my GraphQL server is coming from, right? And this GraphQL server is nothing but the URL that's hosted in Heroku here. So in the Flutter code, what I'm doing is, okay, HTTP link is here. In case I want to do the subscription is nothing but like the WebSocket connection that's open between the GraphQL client and server. So whenever we are making any changes or like any mutation, then that WebSocket will be notified like, hey, you are interested in this subscription, so you got some data in that subscription, right? So for that WebSocket link, I need to configure the same URL, but with a different port, like the WebSocket port here. And I'm just saying like, okay, just concatenate like all the links, including like the authentication link, HTTP link, and WebSocket client. And once everything is done, I'm trying to initialize the GraphQL client with the link I have constructed here. And also like I'm specifying the cache, like the optimistic cache, right? So once I have initialized the client, I'm good to ready. So now I can use this GraphQL client to make the query mutation and the subscription in my application. Now back to this demo screen here. Let's say like I need to add the emotion, right? So let's see like how I am pulling this emotion from the GraphQL server. So let's go to the emotion screen here in the pages emotion dot. So to do that, I need to make a query, right? So here I have built this body widget and I am returning the query. So this query is coming from the GraphQL package, right? So in the query, I'm saying like, okay, this is my query options, and you need to get all the emotions. And this query is nothing but like the same query we can make in our GraphQL server here. So if I run here, it says like, okay, it's listing all the emotions, including the title and icon, right? So I'm saying like, okay, back to this emotion dot. I'm saying get all the emotion using that particular query. And this is my query option. And once a result is coming, you can build the query result widget here, right? So when the emotion comes, it's just like I'm getting the data and I'm constructing and using this grid view, I'm displaying this emotion. So that's how this query works. So if I want to query the data, that means like get the data, I can use this query widget by passing this option. I might be getting the result here, right? The same thing if I want to do the mutation. Mutation is like doing the update, delete, and create options, right? So for that, they are providing this mutation widget. Let's say like I'm okay, let's say like I'm having this run mutation, right? I'm trying to create the journal whenever I'm trying to select this emotion ID and activity ID. So I just like on press of floating action button, I am running the mutation with that particular query. And once that is done, we are good. I'm just saying like, okay, this is my query. And also like once it's completed, navigate back to home. So you can use this mutation widget and also like the run mutation block so that you can do the mutation in your Flutter application. The same thing, like in case if you want to do the subscription, right? Subscription is where like it's open the WebSocket, and whenever the mutation happen, then subscription will be happen. The Hasura GraphQL that's providing the subscription also, so you can do the subscription here. In this one, I have subscribed to the latest journal entry. So whenever the new journal is posted, it would be subscribed and notified the other users. So the same thing, like we are having this operation, and also I'm providing this subscription query, and I'm listening for that event because this is like the stream-based event, right? It would be continuously receiving the data. So I'm listening for the event. So whenever the event comes, I'm just like showing some notification here. Right. So I will show the demo, how it looks like. So this is how it would be looking like, right? So I'm selecting one emotion. I'm happy because like I played video games. Then once I saved, it would be immediately notifying in the other devices because both devices are open to the subscription, like give me the latest journal entry, right? So that's how we can integrate the Flutter with the GraphQL here. I have this demo in the simulator as well here, but it would take like some time, or you can choose like any one of this stuff and say like I did coding, so that's why I'm happy. Then it would be immediately updating in the other screen here, like a happy coding here, right? So that's the overall thing about this thing. And a couple of references, like the slide is in this link. And also I have developed this product. I have developed this demo in like both version. One is using the Hasura GraphQL server. So that's what like you are looking into. And also the same thing I have done like a year before using the Firebase. So I have provided both the repo link so that you can compare to see like how both works and what are the things we can do in different things, right? And finally, like try Hasura and also like using the GraphQL Flutter package. So that's like action items for you, like try to integrate the Flutter apps with the GraphQL and also like explore Hasura. And be kind and spread your awesomeness. That's like a very important thing in this pandemic, right? And also take care of your both the physical and mental health in this stuff, and reach me out if you have any questions. You can follow me at my Twitter handle at Sivamuthu. And also I will share my repo link and social media link into this YouTube channel, or GeekyAnts might be sharing them. That's it. So thank you.
Hi again, Shiva. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
We have one question from our fellow speaker, Rishit. It's not really related, but he's just too impressed by the performance of slides.com. So he just wants to know if it is a good choice to shift from Google Slides to slides.com.
I don't make that decision, but slides.com is more convenient for me because we can drag and drop and doing all this chip support and everything. So that's where it's easy to do it here. And the other thing is I don't need to switch to the full screen mode, because most of the time the full screen mode switching is very hard here, right? The slides.com, I can keep it in a single tab and I can switch it to the tab. That's more convenient for me.
Right. So Rishit, I think the decision lies entirely up to you. I think probably you should go give slides.com a try, and if you like it, use it.
Yeah.
All right. Shiva, our viewers are asking for the links to your GitHub and the rest of things. So if you could just share that with us, we'll put it in the chat as well.
Yeah, I'll do that, sure.
Yes. And meanwhile, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for all the informative insights in using Hasura with Flutter.
Yeah, thanks, Vijay. I'm really happy, and also thanks, and everyone thanks. Stay safe. As I have said, take care of your both the mental and physical health. That's very, very important at this time. Yeah.
Well, you heard it, folks. That's the most important thing right now, and take care of yourself. And you as well, Shiva, take care of yourself. And we would love to see you here by the end of the event.
Yeah, sure, Vijay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the last talk of this event, which is by Nitish Sahani. He is going to be talking about the myths and facts about architecture and principles in Flutter. Perhaps we can have him on screen now. Hi there, Nitish.
Yeah. Hi, Digvijay. Hi, Digvijay.
I presume you can hear me pretty well. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm doing good. It's hot, but it's fine.
I know it's hot here too. I mean, it's less hot, more humid, I suppose.
Yeah.
And that's even worse, right?
Yes.
Anyway, so as a short introduction about Nitish, he has been working with GeekyAnts as a software engineer for the past 2 years now. He is an avid speaker as well. He has spoken at 2 previous events on Flutter with us. He is always looking for new ways to take Flutter to the next level, and he is secretly reading about a certain operating system by Google. I don't know, are you?
Secretly.
Anyway, so Nitish, you are the final gentleman to be on stage and talk now, so I will leave it up to you, and all the best and good luck.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, as Digvijay introduced me, my main talk was going to be about the in-depth architecture and principles, and going into the full details and full demo. But considering my talk was scheduled last, so I thought let's make it a little fun and much more innovative, and so that people could understand it a little more. And my main goal right now today is here to make the concepts of architecture and the principle and state management more clear, what they are, how they are tied together, and what should you use, what should you not use, what should you consider when you are building a project. So right now, if you want to build any Flutter product, if it's an MVP or it's just your demo project or just not that big of a scale, the best opinion would be don't think about too much, just build it. Flutter is just so easy to learn, so easy to grab, just build it. That is the best advice. But if you are considering that your application would reach to a production level and a big huge team would be taking part into handling the complete product, and the app would scale a lot, so then you might consider thinking about these things. And when you come into the industry, this is something which people, all the developers in our community actually like, when you know all about these stuff. So my goal is to make you understand these common things which you should know, but it's not compulsory to use. It depends on your use case. So assume I have a product that pops in my mind, or a client approaches me for a product, the production product, and I want to build this, and obviously I choose Flutter. There are a lot of questions which comes in my mind. One of them, the primary one, is which architecture should I follow? Like when I started my journey, that it was not big of an issue, because the projects were quite small, and like our CEO Sanket says, like very well says, that done is better than perfect. So I also follow that principle. But sometimes when your product is very huge scale in a production level thing, then you have to be on that level of done is better than perfect, but also think about scalability, maintaining how you will handle your different teams if your teams will be divided into modules. So I tried Googling, and like, how is the approach being followed in the industry? What architecture should I follow? What is architecture in terms? Like, I googled and I asked a lot of developers also in around. I found that majority of the people have the answers varied by a lot, and even the idea of the question of what architecture is varied from person to person by a lot. So then I searched a lot about it again. Like, I went to do into the depth of like Google, Wikipedia, Medium articles and all. And for the past 2 years, I've been doing this, and I found various things which I would discuss today. So first is, what are these terms? Like, what do you mean by these terms? Like, when I asked people what architecture should I follow, they suggested me that they asked me, "What's do you mean that by what state management do you want to use?" Or some people just directly said, "We use Mobix and Block. That is the best architecture." Some people, like some experienced people I have met, they also says that use strategy design pattern with the DI approach. Oof, big words. But is that architecture? Some people say that use the good old MVC and MVVM, which we used to follow in the days, and we still follow it. And I end up questioning myself and everyone else, like, what is even architecture, and how are these state management design principles and MVC, MEP, MEVM, these topics are linked together. Like, how do we know about these things? So then, if I try to dive into the conversation a little deeper, and God forbid, while going into that conversation, I asked which state management is your favorite one. Uh, oh God, gosh. I have even heard famous Flutter developers even like say, like, quite, even the top GDs. I've worked with few GDs, and I've communicated with them, and they even said that use Flutter, like use the Flutter vanilla thing, set state, and that's it. You are done with it. So are they wrong? Like, being GDs, are they wrong or are they right? Let's try to figure that out. That is my goal here. So what exactly is state management, and which one to choose? So I don't want to go into the depth of each state management. How do you implement it? There are a lot of blogs and articles and YouTube videos available on the internet, and you can just Google. Like, there are, if you just Google Flutter blog, there will be like 5 articles, 5 videos, and there are a lot of resources I learned from them. And how do we implement it? How do we implement them properly? So let's not dive into how, but why and what. So let's consider an example, like a very simple example. Everyone would understand this. Ice cream. everyone loves ice cream, especially in this hot weather. Everyone loves ice cream. Some people like ice cream sundaes, some like ice cream tubs, some like chocobars. I like orange bars. So how is ice cream linked to state management? I feel that they are somehow linked. The preference of an ice cream depends on user to user and on their taste and on their experience and XYZ factors. So what ice cream would you choose on what day, on what event depends on you and your use case and your problems. Similarly, if we think of it in a more brighter aspect, right? If that same ice cream have to be eaten at a wedding anniversary, at a birthday party, it will be a different set of options. If you are going on a couple date, not for us developers, like we eat I alone, so what would be our option? So that depends on use case to use case basis, and there are a lot of factors involved, and there is no golden rule which one to choose. So what I mean by this key, it depends on if I'm building a complex app or a simple app. If I have a personal preference over the other, if our team has a personal preference over the other, if we have features like dynamic features like streaming, calling, live data, live gaming data, live music data, if we have to add chatting, so also it's not tied down that you can use only one solution and in the complete entire project. You can use multiple of them, then you can mix and match and find a perfect solution for your state management. Like block plus set state plus provider, a good one. Mobx plus inherited widget, a good one. Mine is a different one for different projects. That's on use case basis, right? So coming to our main point, is this what architecture is? Is state for Flutter? Is this what architecture is? So let's come to what architecture is. What many people say is it just a folder structure we have to follow? Like is that lies down to what an architecture is? So I googled a lot and I found a definition written by Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob is a very renowned coder in our community, and he has been coding for the past 50 years. And he has been from the dawn of computers when programming languages invented, even before C++ got invented. He was since then. And he has this definition that software architecture refers to the fundamental structure of a software system and the discipline of creating such structures and systems. I went more in depth. They said that by more getting into, I watched a lot of MIT lectures and Stanford lectures around it, and they said that this discipline of creating structures and system should have a trend which people follow. Like it's a discipline, and these are techniques which people follow. Some people like some techniques, some people like some techniques. So these trends are called architectural styles or patterns. So the definition says that architecture styles are reusable packages of design decisions and constraints. They are reusable packages of design decisions and constraints that are applied to an architecture to induce chosen desirable qualities. Like difficult definition to understand. Let's zoom it out and see it properly. So in short, these architectural styles are reusable things which consist of design decisions and constraints of the above mentioned discipline. Like here you can see this discipline which I'm talking, this is the architecture, and this reusable component and the design decisions are the constraints for it. You might get a little vague idea around what an architecture and state management is now. Let's be more clear. Like let's then discuss what are the rest of the stuff. Design principles, MVC, MVPM, MVVM, are they architecture? How are they linked? You got to know the definition, the bookish definition, the pro definition of what an architecture is. How do we understand it? So let's dive into what is MVC. Model view controller. MVVM, model view model. MVP, model view presenter. MVI, intent. MVU, update. So I don't want to explain any of them, but the answer does not sound this complex how these definitions or these full forms sound. The answer is that these all things define the structure of how the communication of layers take place in your code base. Like if you divide your complete code base into manageable layers, and how those layers will communicate with each other, a structure is defined around it. That is what these MVC, MVP, MVVM, MVI, different styles of our architecture are. So the architecture pattern which I was talking about, these are that structure of communication of layers in your code base. Coming to the next point. So what if those were structure of communication layers, then if those were structure of communication layer, then what are design principles? Like they mess my mind a lot, because whenever I talk to React people, like the core JavaScript people, they don't use these that much. Then I understood that the design patterns and design principles are primarily based on OOPS concept, and JavaScript is not an OOPS language; it's a functional paradigm language. So design patterns and principles can be termed as tips and tricks of OOPS. But what's the use? If those are tips and tricks, they should have a use, right? So it provides general repeatable solution to a commonly occurring problem. It's a problem solver, in short, I would say. What is its benefit? It solves problem, but benefit is that it speeds up our development process. As I said, if you are building a very small product, an MVP or a demo, you are not concerned about the development, about the speed of the development process and how you will maintain it in the long term. But if you are considering in the production level, and if you're considering how you will scale it, how you will scale your team and your product, then you have to consider all these points, because then your speed of development process matters. If a bug occurs in your code base at night 12 o'clock, you have to fix it by morning max to max, so that your client base don't decline, right? So then your speed matters, and then a structure is very much important in your code base, so that and everyone should be on the same page. Everyone should, like, if some guy falls sick, the other guy should know where to pick from. If the structure is same, then everyone is on the same page, right? So then I asked people about it, like, what is design patterns? What are design principles? Tell me practically. They said strategy is a design principle, adapter is a design principle or pattern, state, template methods. I was still confused, like, what is this? So I researched more and more, and found that in good books like George R. Martin, like there is one book by I don't remember the author, but it stated all the design principles, and there were around 50 plus design principles and patterns mentioned. That 50 plus, like that boggled my mind. And by studying around 20 of them, I got little distracted, and I understood a little thing. I understood something. I understood a pattern behind it. So they are just problems to a given solution, and we already use them. Some of it not, but we already use them. But we don't know that they are design patterns or design principles. A problem like you want to maintain instance of a class, singleton is the solution. You want to not rewrite same code a lot, templating. You have been using a lot. Django is completely based on that. You want to maintain dynamic state and dynamic data or states. That is state management. See, state management is a solution to a given problem which occurs prominently. If the problem won't occur, if the application is small. So if the application is big, the problem will occur. And if the application is complex, the problem will occur of dynamic data and maintaining the states based on those data. The solution is state management. You want to use abstraction in your code, use strategy design. That is something which I learned. Like strategy design is some wonderful thing if you are thinking about scaling. So that's just a few to name. But coming to our main point, what architecture should I use? So, and what it is. Let's figure out. We have understood all the terms, in broader terms, in broader meanings. Let's put them together into an umbrella, and architecture would be our umbrella, right? So before asking that question, which architecture should I use, ask yourself and ask your team, what is the ideal communication between layers of your code? What should be the ideal? Layers being your UI, business logic, and data models. You can even break it down into more layers like intents, entities, events, repositories. These are different layers of your code, and how these things will be communicated between them. You have to first, and that depends on your project, on your use case. Secondly, ask yourself what all common problems I would face while building this while developing this application, what my team will face. Like if you know that your application has complex routing in it, complex navigation in it, use a commonly used Flutter package called Fluro that has a good approach of solving routing based problems. If you want to maintain instances, either create your own singleton or use the package called Getit. It's quite good in maintaining that. If you want to use local storage, then you can use SQLite, you can use Hive. These are problems to solutions. They can be considered design patterns, design principles, cannot be. It does not matter that much. The thing is, you should know what they are. That is my point. Coming to the next point, you also want that state management should be there, because dynamic data and dynamic state have to maintain in your project. So when you're considering what architecture should is, this also should be a question in your list. So state management should be based on your preference, on your use cases to handle dynamic states of your project. So it's always your things. So there is no golden rule, but just commonly practiced solutions. That's it. And this all depends on your project, again saying. So my point is, this is what I understood of what architecture is. All this rules and regulations and methods combine and become a discipline or some rules and regulations, as I said, for you to follow in your project, which is your architecture. Architecture is nothing a discipline or a set of questions which you have to ask yourself on how do we tackle such and such problems and what solutions do we use. If you are that's it. And like if we talk about the commonly practiced solutions, there aren't many, because the main point being is it's your project, it's your thing. It should be based on your thing, right? So there are a few tips and tricks which you should always inculcate in any project you use, be it a small demo application itself. So some of them are written by Bob Martin, Uncle Bob, and he mentioned this in his book called Clean Code. Uh, this I found them amazing, but these are very much oriented to object oriented spectrum developers, and that being object oriented, it would be amazing to share it. That's what I thought. So being solid principles, so there are 5 rules which make your life easier when coding. The rules might sound very much complex. I would try to jot them down to very English words, I would say, not using the technical jargons. uh, First is single responsibility principle. Single responsibility principle. It means a class should have one and only one reason to change, or you can say function too. So any entity should only have one responsibility. That's it, nothing else. It should not do more than one job. That's it. That is something which everyone should follow. So that it makes code more readable, more understandable, more structural. Second is open closed principle. It says that entity should be open for extension but closed for modification. The entity should be, I would say, free enough that it can be used with anything, but it should not be jot down that if you want to change some particular X thing, you have to go inside that class and change. It should be usable in such a way that it can be, it does not need modification, and it can be extended if it needs anything change. It needs any changes. Third is Liskov substitution principle. Like it's a very complicated solutions. Like I tried to find a very basic definition for it. I found this one: functions that use pointers of reference to base classes must be able to use objects of derived classes without knowing it. A little difficult to understand, but if we simplify it or more, it means that derived classes should be substitutable. Derived classes should be substitutable for their parent class. That's it. It's an inheritance thing. There should be a particular relationship between it, and this is that derived class should be substitutable for their parent class. You must have heard this about in your OOPS classes in your college or school. So fourth one is interface segregation principle. It means that you should break your UI, or you should break your code into interfaces, into smaller pieces of code. Like do not go more than 200 lines in particular file. Do not go more than X number of lines in your particular class or function. So these are some patterns which you should follow to make your code more structured. So they better satisfy, so the reason behind it, that they better satisfy the exact needs of our clients, of our needs. Lastly, uh, dependency inversion principle, meaning high level modules should not depend on low level modules. Both should depend on abstractions. If I talk in terms of very Dart thing, so in Dart, there is a concept of mixins. Mixins completely based on this thing. Everyone should use it, but nobody does, because they try to use callback functions a lot. They try to they anyhow try to communicate the high level to the low level or something like that. High level should not depend on low level modules. The communication should not be from low level to high level. There should be an abstraction layer between it, and mixins are great. Another example, whenever you are using an auto-generated files like JSON serializable, like retrofit, so what they do is they use this same implementation and they try to break your code into two pieces so that your code is more abstracted and you don't have to worry about a lot and how they are interlinked. So if you go into how the auto code generation works, then you should learn about it. How mixins work, you should know about this. These principles, if followed, like they might sound a little complex to you, but like three of them you already follow, two of them you might be. It depends on you, but everyone should. That's my point, because this is something which makes your code a lot better, a hell lot better, and this is something which helps in maintaining your code, scaling your code, and the most important, giving KTs. Like it becomes so much easier that now if the other person understand your concepts of solid principle, I understand my concepts of solid principle, I can just say a few words, it's done and done. And that was all about solid principles. Last topic was clean architecture. I don't want to go into the in-depth of clean architecture. I just want to say that in layman terms, it refers to uh, organizing the project, organizing your project so that it's easy to understand and easy to change as the project grows. There are some rules behind it. There are some techniques behind it. You should read more over it. There is a package called Flutter Clean Architecture, and if you use it, everything is wrapped around it, and it's very easy to use. As I've done in my previous days, I try to use it as much as possible, and I'm also reading much about it. Uh, I have read only 50% of the book, and I have learned so much from this book. And whenever I talk to some experienced people, like a 15-year-old developer, and if I talk any of these terms, they are very much comfortable in talking with me, because now we are on the same terms. Exactly, everyone should be on the same terms when they are coding. Uh, Apart from what architecture should be used, there are some more questions which I have filed, and I found them from internet. Many people asked me. I have heard many people ask professional developers also. I don't consider myself like a pro one, because when I heard about these concepts and I don't know, I cannot say I'm a pro. I have to learn this. I have to learn this. That's what my opinion is. Uh, some common questions like, is block a state management or an architectural style? So this was a very common one in the community when block was announced. Block primarily refers to business logic, which was developed by Google in 2018. It uses what was it? Reactive programming to handle the flow of data in the app within the application. So if it handles the flow of the application, it might lie into both of them. Because it becomes the middle layer between your data and your UI. It becomes a middle layer between your communication point between your data and UI. So yes, block is a state management technique as it provides a solution to handle dynamic data and state. And yes, block is also an architectural pattern as it provides us a flow of communication between layers of your application. So it's an hybrid. So block is already there using inherited widgets in your Flutter project. You don't have to add a different package to it. You can use inherited widget. If you want a wrapper around it and a more structural pattern, then you can use a block package. If you want a more even another wrapper around it, then you can use Flutter block package, which is developed by Felix Angelov. And even though like that is, I consider the most prominent one in my opinion, uh, but it has a lot of boilercode in it. That is the only flaw which I can find of it. The next question is, are it TDD, BDD, DDD architectural patterns? So for the folks who don't know what TDD, BDD, DDD are, so they are test-driven development, behavior-driven development, and domain-driven design. So when like there are many videos, like there is a coder called Rezo Coder, and he makes wonderful tutorials around it, and he has done a lot of blogs also around TDD, BDD, and DDD. So our main concern here is now not technical, I would say. It's how the communication between all the software developers and managers and your clients and your business teams and your team leads, and how the complete agile process takes into place. So it's not how your code base is working. It's not uh, your code base should have a communication between all of these points, your business teams and your team leads. So if you consider TDD, test driven development, so here what happens is you have very short sprint cycles, and the target of the sprint cycle is not to complete one feature, but to actually complete one test case. The complete cycle is around completing test cases. Secondly, if we talk about BDD, behavior driven development, there the main concern is to keep everyone on the same page, be it managers, client, business teams, team leads, software developers. And there we have different tools like Cucumber or Gherkin also. So we use those tools. So no, these are not architectural patterns. Domain driven design is something for example, if you are building an application for banks or loans, so your variable names and your class names and your structure should be around managers, customers, loan takers, price, money, interest, interest and loans, and all of these things. So your variable name classes and your complete structure of your code base should be around that domain of the client's domain, of the use case domain. So that is what domain-driven design is. So no, these are not uh, tightly linked to your architectural patterns, but yes, it affects your code a little. Next question was, with time, my Flutter code turns up being Flutter. So this is a quite big one. Like, is it? I also faced this one when I was starting out. So like for this, if you know that it's just a demo project, you don't think it won't be a Flutter. It's just a demo project. It will be done in a few days. But if you know that this is going to be a big project, like even a project for 1 month is a big project, and you might pick it up later. So you have to plan things. The best thing is to plan things first, how you are going to take it in the next phase. So follow the clean architecture, keep the logic and UI separate. You can even use a controller inside any architecture style that you want to use, and to make things more clear. So if you keep things separated out, you keep things abstracted out, you use a clean architecture, you separate logic and UI, you add a state management. So these things end up not making your Flutter code Flutter. I guess this is the last one which I found. Is qubit the next block, as it reduces the boilerplate by a lot? So like I would not say by the block thing. It is the Flutter block specifically, the package Flutter block, which Felix made it. Qubit is another level of that package, and what they do is use the same functionalities but remove the boilerplate. So, but the thing what happens is that Felix Angelo actually merged the qubit inside the Flutter block. So after version 5, we have qubit already built inside Flutter block. So you can actually try it. And even in Flutter 6, not Flutter 6, in Flutter block version 6, it's a breaking change that qubit and block are now so tightly coupled that you have to learn qubit. So that was it from my side. Thank you. I hope you learned a lot, at least something, and I hope from the next day you are trying to build a project. Think about these things. That's it.
Hi again, Nitish.
Hi.
Thank you so much for all the information and the knowledge that you've just shared. I think that pretty much clears a lot of concepts about architectures and principles for a lot of people. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time and everything that you have shared here. If there are any links that you'd like to share with the people, do give us the links so that we can post them in the comment section here. Other than that, I guess that's pretty much it. So thank you very much, and stay with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of today's Flutter Remote Meetup. I hope that you have had a lot of things to learn and talk about and try, perhaps things that you have been shown here by our speakers today. Towards the end, I would just like to have all the speakers on the screen once. So if we can perhaps ask Rishit as well. And Shiva is here too. I think Ayush could not join us today for the ending because I think he had somewhere to be. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you today's lineup of these amazing speakers who have taken out their time to talk about some brilliant things in Flutter, some new things that you might not have known about, or perhaps some old things that have been revisited in a different way and would change your mindset towards using this technology. So I would just like to personally thank all of you for taking out the time and giving immense and beautiful knowledge to all the viewers that we have today. I just wanted to take a quick snapshot to commemorate this moment. And don't worry, Ayush, we'll Photoshop you in. That's okay. And we'll send you a Photoshop copy as well. So if I can just have everybody to smile and strike a pose when I say so, we'll take a quick snapshot. In 3, 2, 1, strike a pose. Great. So I've captured the screenshot. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And to all the viewers who have stuck with us towards the end, thank you so much for all your patience. And like all of us have been emphasizing, times are tough. Be kind to everybody. Be humble. Mental health is really important. Talk to people. If you see somebody who's in need, you never know what demons people are facing. So talk to them. Help each other. Be compassionate. Be empathetic. And help others while you help yourselves. And I guess that with that note, I would also like to thank all the people who have been working behind the scenes. Rishabh Agarwal, who's been making sure that this stream is hiccup free. Shweta, who has been working tirelessly towards the social front and posting each and every update for us. And Gaurav for helping us manage all of this and put this all together. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all the speakers. I am really humbled and honored to have you all here. And on this note, I'd like to end today's event. So thank you and namaste, everybody.